Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Good Seeds will presenting our term project on Petronas gas Berhad. Our group consists of Atif Hamim, Tahirah Filza, Siti Zuhaira Nasrin and Nurul Nadirah. This is our presentation outlines that we will discuss in this video. First of all, my name is Tahirah Filza binti Daud. I will start first with the case organization. Petronas Gas Berhad PGB is a subsidiary of Petroleum Nasional Berhad, which is Petronas, and has been listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad since 1995. PGB's business is divided into 4 core operations, which are gas processing, gas transmission, utilities, and regasification. Based on the interview session, one of the PGB's executives said that Petronas Gas Berhad started the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals in 2005. However, PGB started to report its sustainable development according to the UN SDG in 2019. In the Sustainability Report 2020, it mentioned that PGB is in support of only 8 UN SDGs out of 17 that were set up by the United Nations, in which it believes that PGB could contribute the greatest possible impact to society. The 8 UN SDGs are Good Health and Well-being SDG 3, Quality Education SDG 4, Affordable and Clean Energy SDG 7, Decent Work and Economic Growth SDG 8, Responsible Consumption and Production SDG 12, Climate Action SDG 13, Life Below Water SDG 14, and Life Online SDG 15. The protagonist in PGB is the board of directors, including the CEO. During the interview session, the executive said that the board will approve all the decisions made to the company, whereby the Sustainable Development Working Committee is checked by PGB CEO, as they will get approval from the board for anything that they want to implement, which is the SDGs, and come up with the proposal. Sustainable Development Working Committee is a working committee established in PGB, in which will be checked by their Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, which is MD CEO. Usually, the Sustainable Development Working Committee will outline whatever they want to implement in this organization. They will develop and recommend the sustainability policy, plan and recommend the economic, environment, social and governance, which is EESG, of sustainability development for the approval of the board, and will execute the approved EESG activities or action. Then, they will report, update, and review the adopted sustainability policy of the approval activity on a regular basis. For the major sustainability issue, the executive said that their concerns are more on the affordable and clean energy, which is SDG 7, and climate action, which is SDG 13, because Petronas is very committed to their statement of purpose, which is progressive energy and as a preferred solution partner. So, that is the reason they outlined these 2 main SDGs. Moreover, these 2 SDGs have very much been reported because they can see that it gives a huge impact on the climate and also society, and both are complements to each other because it is related to their operations. For SDG 7, they want to make sure that their products are clean and safe for their clients to use. For SDG 13, the examples of its issue is the greenhouse gas emission and carbon footprint. These emissions are due to PGB's operation, such as during the burning process. Every time they burn or produce its products, which are related to oil and gas, it will release carbon dioxide, sometimes release carbon monoxide, and even worse, sometimes it also will release methane, which is 5 times worse than other emissions. However, they also do not forget the other 6 SDGs, which are used to support their Sustainable Development Goals.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Atif Hamim. In my part, I will talk about Petronas Gas Berhad selected Sustainable Development Goals in general and Environmental Management Accounting, and later on my teammates will explain how the 2 selected Sustainable Development Goals is connected with Petronas Gas Berhad. So in this part, I will elaborate SDG 7 and SDG 13. So the first one is SDG 7, which is affordable and clean energy. The Sustainable Development Goal 7 is one of the 17th SDGs collected by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. Its goal is to ensure that everybody has access to inexpensive, dependable, sustainable, and current energy. Its point incorporates 5 focuses on that should be met by through 2030. The first one is to spread the word about specific ways individuals get admission to reasonable, dependable, and cutting-edge energy administration. The second one is to augment significantly the part of economical power in the overall energy blend. To ensure comprehensive permission to sensible, strong, and current energy administration. The fourth one, to improve worldwide collaboration to work with the MIT to smooth strength examination and innovation, along with sustainable power proficiency, unrivaled and cleaner petroleum derivative innovation, and advanced interest in power foundation and clean strength innovation. And the last one is to make greater framework and further develop science for restoring current and feasible strength contribution for all the development nations. So the next one is the Sustainable Development Goals 30, which is climate change. And its purpose is to take pressing motion to combat local weather exchange and its impact. This Sustainable 13 is one of the 17 SDGs snapped through the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. There are 5 points in completely related to the Sustainable Development Goals. The first one is to sustain strength and versatile potential to environment-related risk and homegrown disappointments in all nations. Second one, to contain neighborhood climate change measures into country-wide strategic procedures and arranging. Third one is to further develop training, mindfulness, raising human and institutional capacity on neighborhood climate change moderation, transformation, impact, decrease, and early admonition. Fourth is to execute the innovation attempted by utilizing created country gathered into the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to an expectation of preparing on the whole $100 billion yearly by utilizing 2020 from all sources to address the desire of creating worldwide areas with regards to significant moderation developments and straightforwardness on execution, completely operationalize the Green Climate Fund through its capitalization as quickly as the time permits. And the last one, to advance instruments for raising the capacity for excellent environmental change related preparation and organization in least evolved countries and little island creating states, alongside zeroing in all ladies, youth and neighborhood and minimize network. The initial targets are yield destination, while the last two objectives are capacity to lead the objectives. The advancement of SDG is supposed to be significant up to this point. It is indispensable to know that SDG 7 and SDG 13 are related and reciprocal. To accomplish long-haul environment objectives, the world requires the investment addition energy into environmentally friendly power. Okay, so now I will talk about the accounting technique that is selected. We selected environmental management accounting. Environmental management accounting is the methodology that corporations prevent, monitor, appraisal their impact on the environment. It analyzes each money and non-financial data to produce clear steers to management to come to a decision on the company position toward the environment. So there are four types of environment cost. First is standard value like raw materials, energy cost directly impact on the environment. Second one, probably hidden cost like actual cost, something like pledge cost, however classified as overhead cost. Third one is contingent cost to illustrate finish off cost for non-compliance. And the last one is image and relationship cost, a cost like incurred to enhance or maintain the company's reputation. Okay, so when accounting for costs involved in environmental management, there are four techniques are always used. The first one is input or output process. This technique investigates what comes in and what left the creation. Any misfortune or leftover is taken into account as waste. The upper the waste, the more damage we have created to the earth. Second is flow cost bookkeeping. Focus on progression of material and stream of every creation interaction and catch the expense as needs be, by which the procedure utilize material streams as well as the inheritance design. It makes material streams straightforward by checking out the actual amounts including the expenses and their worth. The cost can be categorized in three. First one is material cost, like record like quantity, cost per unit and the value, same as input or output analysis. Second one is systems cost incurred in the production process, like including labor cost, machines, depreciation, etc. And the third one is delivery and disposal cost, like transportation cost, waste handling and disposal cost. Okay, so the third technique is environmental activity based accounting. It allocates internal cost to cost centers and cost drivers on the basis of activities that give rise to the cost. And the last one is life cycle assessment. We also call it LCA. So the last technique is life cycle assessment technique, which is in such a way that within the context of environmental accounting is technique which requires the full environmental consequence and therefore costs arising from production of a product to be taken account across its whole life cycle, literally from cradle to grave. That's all for my part. Thank you.
For this project, we use the qualitative approach, which is by conducting an interview session with two representatives of Petronas case Berhad as our main source in order to collect as much data and information and to have a better understanding on the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals in PGB. However, both representatives requested to remain anonymous in order to follow their policy. This interview session was conducted online through Google Meet on Sunday 26 December 2021, which all of our group members have also participated, and we managed to ask several questions to the representatives regarding the implementation of SDG in PGB. Besides, we also had used their 2020 governance and financial reports and also sustainability reports in order to know further about what has been reported regarding the implementation of SDGs in PGB, such as the initiatives that have been done by PGB in order to counter the selected major SDGs issue, and we use this report also to support our analysis. Furthermore, we did refer to PGB's website as we want to know the details of its main businesses, since there is mention in the Governance and Financial Report 2020 that PGB has 4 main businesses, which are gas processing, gas transmission, utilities, and regasification. We also refer to Climeworks website to know about the machine on how it used to remove carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, since we use this source as one of our suggestions. So, that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadirah binti Mohammad and I will continue the presentations. Petronas Gas Berhad PGB support 8 out of 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals UN SDGs, where they believe that it can contribute to the greatest impact on society. It will help them to coordinate their efforts toward a global sustainability agenda whilst enhancing collaboration with the local community to deliver sustainable value creations. But PGB is more focused on SDG 13, which is climate action, with the support of SDG 7, which is affordable and clean energy. Both combination of the SDGs will help PGB to provide a secure and clean gas supply to its customers while contributing to environmental sustainability. The implementations of Environmental Management Accounting (EMA) will help PGB to address the problems of emissions that have been released into the atmosphere. It will incorporate environmental factors into its accounting processes by identifying the environmental costs associated with its products, processes, and services. There are several alternative uses by the PGB in order to reduce the emissions, such as complying with the government regulations and implementing a monitoring system can help PGB to control the emissions level. In 2020, the President and Group CEO of Petronas, Tengku Mohammad have announced that they want to achieve net zero carbon emission (NZCE) by 2050. He said that Petronas is embracing its role in providing access to affordable, secure, and sustainable energy to businesses and society, as well as providing cleaner energy and solutions that will be beneficial to the world and customer through reductions of emissions. And ZCE 2050 will enable PGB to reduce emission while increasing energy efficiency by minimizing hydrocarbon flarings, venting, and fuel gas usage from its operations. With SDG 13, PGB want to ensure that the efficiency of its processes and system can reduce the impact of air emissions on the environment and climate change by following the emissions limit set forth in the Environmental Quality Clean Air Regulations 2014 and known as CAR 2014. PGB also monitors and manages its air emissions using the Continuous Emissions Monitoring System (CEMS), Predictive Emissions Monitoring System (PEMS), and manual sampling by an accredited third-party contractor, as well as the leaks detections and repair (LDAR) program. According to the EPA, CEMS and PEMS are the total equipment required by the industry for determining a gas or emissions rate in order to produce the result of the applicable emission standard. To measure the level of emissions into the atmosphere, CEMS will use pollutants analyzer measurements or a computer software program, whereas PEMS will use control device operating parameter measurements or computer systems. When PGB incorporates CEMS and PEMS into their facility, PGB will benefit from more accurate information about the emissions level, as well as a better understanding of how the emissions may affect the environment and local communities. In 2020, the installations of 29 units of CEMS and PEMS on PGB equipment, while the remaining 15 units will be installed in stages that need to be completed by 2023 to allow them to obtain real-time data and take actions from abnormal readings. The facilities that do not have a complete CEMS will be monitored manually by the third-party contractors in order to ensure that the stack complies with regulations stated in the CAR 2014. Through the LADR program, PGB can identify the areas that release fugitive emissions, including methanol leaks. After the leaks area have been identified, the PGB teams will repair it so that they can stop the fugitive emissions from being released into the atmosphere. By implementing an LADR programs or replacing leaking equipment with the leakless components, PGB can control its emissions level from the equipment leaks. EPA stated that implementing the LADR program at the petroleum refinery can reduce emissions from the equipment leaks by 63%. When PGB implements an LDAR program to reduce emission, it can assist the facility in avoiding enforcement actions, lowering the exposure to the community surroundings, and increasing the worker and operator safety. Greenhouse gases is a gas compound in the atmosphere that is capable of absorbing infrared radiation, trapping and holding heat in the atmosphere that potentially lead to the global warming. Good greenhouse gases (GHG) accounting practice related to the carbon footprint will enable PGB to monitor and take proactive measures in order to reduce GHG emissions within its operations and products. PGB takes proactive steps in conserve energy and reduce GHG emissions through continuous improvement in plant designs and operations. PGB was planning to design a new facility that would have zero continuous flaring and venting of hydrocarbons. PGB has managed to achieve a significant reductions in GHG emissions for 80% from 4.36 million in 2019 to 3.70 million in 2020. Besides the quality of emissions, PGB also measures the quantity of emissions through the calculations of sulfur oxides and nitrous oxide loadings. PGB installed the best available technique BAT for air emissions monitoring and control in order to reduce the sulfur oxide and nitrous oxides emissions from the facility by following the CAR 2014. BAT will be installed to all the PGB facilities by 2029. BAT is a tool developed by the industry to prevent and control industrial pollutions while ensuring human health and environmental protections. In order to support SDG 7, PGB provides clean and low-carbon energy to ensure a sustainable environment by using gas as a feedstock to generate electricity, steam and industrial gases. In 2020, PGB launched a new additional auxiliary services which are LNG truck reloading services at Regasification Terminal Pengerang (RGTP) and LNG reloading bunkering services at Regasification Terminal Sungai Udang (RGTSU) in order to promote LNG as a cleaner marine fuel. RGTP launched an LNG truck loading facility to support Petronas Virtual Pipeline System (VPS) that enable gas access to cater the demand of gas from small-scale customers and off-grid customers that located away from the PGB network. It provides loading and logistics services for LNG trucks to deliver the LNG to its customers. RGTSU introduced LNG reloading services as part of LNG bunkering services, where LNG was loaded from floating storage unit 1 into MV Avenir Advantage using the LNG bunkering vessels. Bunkering is the process of receiving oil in the ship tank, and during the process of transferring, it requires care so that there is no overflow of oil in order to prevent any unwanted accidents like fire or oil spill. Installations of the Flare Gas Recovery Unit (FGRU) will assist the PGB in recovering normal flaring hydrocarbon gases from the flare header. It will be combusted and used in the boiler, which will reduce the internal gas consumptions, resulting in less gas flare and lower GHG emissions. It also can reduce flaring emissions into the atmosphere. FGRU aims to recover and repurpose gases and emissions that would normally be burned during the flaring process. FGRU provides many benefits to the PGB as it can reduce the continuous flare operations and reduce the consumption of fuel and steam during the burning process. Implementation of hydrogen-rich gas (HRG) utilizations by PGB in collaboration with Petronas Chemical (MTBE) (PCMTBE) is to reduce emissions. Reductions in flaring after using the HRXG system at PCMTBE and HRG can use as a substitute for the natural gas in HRSG that can generate lesser emissions. It not only recovers the energy losses and utilizes the value chain, but it also reduces the environmental impact because of the emissions. As a conclusion, lowering carbon and GHG emissions that have been released into the air generated by the PGB facilities not only help the PGB to meet the environmental regulations, which is CAR 2014, but also demonstrate the awareness and commitments to the environment and its surrounding. Okay, that's all from me, and I'll pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nasrin and I will present about suggestion and conclusion. We come up with 3 suggestions for PGB to improve, which are expand its facility at RGTP, improve its facility and implement climate works. First, expand its facility at RGTP. After PGB launched LNG truck loading at RGTP, it increased the revenue for the organization and asset utilization. LNG truck loading able to cater the demand from its customer. So, PGB should continue by expand its facility at RGTP. In 2020, PGB already has 4 loading bays but able to cater only up to 36 loadings per day. So, by expand its facility, PGB can cater up to more than 50 loadings per day. Second, improve its existing facility. In Sustainability Report 2020, PGB mentioned that they continue to improve its plant design and operation to reduce greenhouse gas emission. So we suggest for PGB to improve its facility by use or modify existing pneumatic pump to block the carbon footprint from being released to atmosphere. Pneumatic pump has 3 types, which are instrument air pump, solar air pump, and electric power pump. According to OAQPS, the efficiency of this pump is it able to reduce 100% of emission where applicable. Instrument air pump can release operational efficiency, reduce cost, and maintenance by eliminating the emission of methane and volatile organic compound, which is VOC. Solar power pump can be used at site where electricity is not available because it will use the electric power that is captured by the solar panel in order to operate a DC charge pump. Lastly, the electric power pump, it needs a constant source of energy. So typically, it will be installed at processing plant or facility that equipped with electricity. Lastly, our suggestion is for the PGB to implement climate work. Since PGB plant release carbon footprint during its operation, such as during the burning process, PGB should implement climate work machine to capture its carbon emission directly from the plant. It is because climate work are using direct air capture technology to remove unavoidable and historic carbon dioxide emission from the air permanently to stop global warming. Carbon dioxide captured by the air can either be recycled and used as a raw material or removed completely from the air by storing it safely in rock underground. The climate work machine will capture the carbon dioxide by these 2 steps, which are: first, air is drawn into the collector with a fan. Carbon dioxide is captured on the surface of a highly selective filter material that sits inside the collectors. Second, after the filter material is full with carbon dioxide, the collector is closed and it will increase the temperature to between 80 to 100% Celsius to release the carbon dioxide. That's how the machine collect this high purity, high concentration carbon dioxide. In conclusion, PGB implement 8 out of the 17 UN SDG with two major concerns, which is SDG 7 and SDG 13. The board is the decision maker because the board will make the decision for the company. For example, Sustainability Development Working Committee will propose SDG to be checked by MD CEO and approved by the board. PGB follow regulation for emission limit, which is Environment Quality Clean Air Regulation 2014, to reduce the impact of air emission on the environment. The three suggestions for PGB to implement in future are to expanding its facility at RGTP for truck loading to cater gas demand from its customer. Second, improve its facility with pneumatic pump to block carbon footprint from being released. Lastly, implement climb work machine which can help PGB to capture carbon dioxide from the air and use it as raw material or remove it by storing safely as rock underground.
That's all from our group. Thank you.